everyone, I'm Spencer.
I'm Lara, and we're Married with Board Games. We really enjoy it when games take a standard concept like gladiators fighting in an arena and then introduce something unexpected.
And in the case of King of the Creepies, a 2 to 6 player card game from IDW, it's the introduction of characters called Creepies to fight in an arena that is somewhat unexpected.
So what is a creepy, and how does betting, bribing, and battling with them play out?
Let's head over to the table and take a look. Alright, so King of the Creepies. The goal is you're basically battling these Creepies, these characters, in an arena, and you want to get 5 victory crystals. So you'll do that by winning those battles. When you win a battle, you move up on your player mat. You move this token here, and then I'll get to the other aspects on this card. But there are also something called these victory crystals that are special conditions. If you meet, you can get a crystal too. So this says own 7 creepies at any one time. And so those are other ways you can get victory crystals as well. Again, once one person gets to 5 victory crystals, the game is over and they win. What are creepies? Okay, so let's take a look at just a couple of these creepies here. We've got Derpules. Of course, these are all caricatures, jokes, and standard characters. They've got flavor text. His mind is bigger than his muscles. Oh wait, switch that. Okay, these creepies will have special abilities. So in this case, he rolls 1 additional die while attacking. They have all these attributes. You got their hit points, 17. So when you put out a creepy to play, you'll move up their hit points on the health track, and that's how you keep track of their health during the battle phase. But then they have something like the attack, which is... So during the attack phase, you roll 2 dice, and then you add that to your attack score. That's how much damage you do. Defense, if you're defending, you'll roll 1 die, and you add that to your defense score. And then that's how much you subtract your defense from their attack, and that's how much damage you take. Speed, this is how you determine who goes first during a battle phase. So you roll a die and add that to your speed, and whoever has the highest goes first. And then finally, abilities. That's how many abilities you can play during a battle phase. In this case, Derpules can't play any. But here's Nighty Night. Roll a die at the beginning of your turn for the whole battle. If you roll 1 or 2, Nighty Night falls asleep for the round and cannot attack or use abilities. And then finally, Can of Vegetables. You can only play 1 ability card per battle, but you can play it 3 times before it becomes exhausted. So there's just some examples of the creepies that you'll be using to battle in the arena. So you hear the word abilities and gear, and so here exist some examples of the ability cards. Here is Berserk. Skip your attack this turn and deal 8 damage to target creepy. Target opponent's creepy may not attack you on their next turn. So here's some examples of some abilities. For the most part, they're one-time use during a battle, unless they state otherwise. And then finally, there's some gear, some item cards. So items will be used one time, and you can use them whenever you want to. Interrupt and negate target ability or item. And then gear, at the beginning of each battle phase, you'll equip a gear with your creepy. So in this case, a kleptomaniac. If you win the battle, you may steal a card from target player's hand. Then you've got you're on my crit list. If you roll doubles when attacking, add a 3rd die to the attack. So again, those are some examples of these items and gear cards that you'll be able to use during the game. The way a round works, it begins with, and I'll use this player mat here to show you. You start with a market phase. That's how you'll gain some money. You'll acquire new cards. You can get new creepies, new gear, new abilities. And then you can also buy and sell as well. And from the market phase, you'll go to the mischief phase. Here you'll decide which creepy you're going to play. So you only fight with 1, and then you can equip it with gear. And then everyone will reveal at the same time. And then you have the opportunity to bid on your creepy. If you think you're going to win the battle, you can bid some coins onto it. Speaking of coins, here they are. Didn't put those out on the table, but there they are. Good chunk of coins there for you to use. But yeah, you can bid up to 5 and on your creepy, and then if you win, you get 5, you get the ones you bid back, and then also you get double that, so you'll get 10 back. And then once you do that, a mischief card comes out. And this will change up some of the standard rules. So in this case, nothing happens. Let's see if we can find something exciting. All items played this battle exhaust instead of discard. So instead of getting rid of items, you just get to use them later. So that's another way that adds some chaos into the game. Once you do that, you move on to the battle phase. Everyone will take a turn to decide who they're going to attack. They attack, then the defender will roll, and then you resolve that and resolve the combat. And you'll go around and around and around until one person is left in a battle. And then once you do that, they get their victory crystal, and then you start back over at the market phase. So that, in a nutshell, is how King of the Creepies works. Let's head over and see what we think of it. Okay, so you know how the game works. Let's talk about how we feel about it. So you saw from the overview what it looks like. I feel like the art is okay. I don't think there's anything special about it, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it fits the game.
Definitely.
I think it's perfect for the game. It matches the style. Mm-hmm. And then
and each of those creepies are perfectly illustrated.
Right.
Like, fitting within their character. I think they did pretty good.
Yeah. And then I'll move on to the graphic design, too. I feel like the graphic design is a little bland. Like the backs of the cars aren't anything special. They're essentially just like, the little symbol, and then that's it. And then, like, the player mats are just, some text on the player mats.
Right, which I feel like there's some stuff missing from those player mats.
Right, they do a good job of at least intentionally trying to put a little bit of a player aid on there, but it would have helped. There are one or two things missing from that you have to go back to the rulebook and reference. And the rulebook itself, I felt was laid out a little poorly. There were a few things that were unclear. It took me a while to, and for a game like this, it shouldn't have taken me as long as it did to kind of understand what was happening. So I feel like the rulebook could have been laid out a little bit better. But that's the presentation, the way it looks. Let's get to the actual gameplay. Okay. So let's talk about it. This is a 2 to 6 player game, right? And we've played different player counts. First, of course, is with us with a 2-player. What do you think about a 2-player game?
Well, it's definitely short.
Yeah.
With the 2-player game.
For us, it was at least.
Right. But there's some abilities that are super cool that are about attacking multiple enemies.
Right.
Or have to do with there being multiple people there, and so you don't get to fully utilize a lot of those really nice features when it's only a 2-player game. Right, and you don't have as many targets. You don't have the option because in the game you can bribe each other, but in a 2-player game you can't bribe. I'll bribe you not to attack me, but you have to because I'm your target. I'll take your money and then I'm going to attack you anyway.
I probably wouldn't recommend this as a 2-player game. It works.
Well, I think if you're learning it.
Yeah.
Learning it before you teach other people.
Right.
Go ahead and do 2-player. But after that, I can see. After one 2-player game, you would be bored with more 2-player games. Yeah, it definitely shines in the higher player counts. However, there's a little bit of a trade-off on that. With more people, there's a little bit more downtime, possibly, depending on how your rounds go, right? Right. If you don't survive that long into the fight, because it all comes down to the last creepy standing in the fight. So, you've got to eliminate some, and once they're eliminated, you're sitting there waiting for the fight, which is why you should get a good recipe from my Game Night Grow Up segment on our podcast. There you go. So they can go snack while you finish out your fight. Way to cross-promote. Thank you. So imagine in a 6-player game, if you're the first person out in a battle round, you're going to be waiting around. So be aware of that. Again, if you do a good enough job of trying to defend and sticking in there, or, because it could very well be that everyone just decides to team up on one person at first. That's where that bribing can come into play. So you can say, hey, wait, I'll give you 5 coins or whatever if you don't attack me. Right. Well, and on top of that, even though there's that long waiting, the game itself can just go really long because it's the first creepy to 5 crystals. Yeah. 5 fights, and you're not going to win them all, bing, bang, boom, right in a row. Right. And so it'll be a long game. Yeah. I just got to warn you. Yeah, unless one person just runs away with it, which is possible. If someone's got the right victory cards and with the right conditions. And the right kind of creepies. Yeah. So again, be aware of that. I do think that the game is fun in the right setting, in the right mindset. Right. There's a lot of with the right players. Right. There's a lot of funny text on the cards. Yes, and so you need people who are into that, reading the flavor text on the cards, because I love doing that.
Oh yeah, it's fun. And the puns, the puns are, I'm a pun expert, and they're...
Expert, he says. But there are just some people that we've played games with before that you kind of have to egg them into it of, and read what's at the bottom. And then they don't read it with much feeling, and so it's not as fun.
Right.
Like... Booby, she has some unfinished business. And
my favorite is the Mayhem Artist, which is a knockoff of Tommy Wiseau. Which
the disaster artist of The Room fame.
So they're definitely...
Some of you out there will know what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
I would love to know if the designer or the artist, if they're fans of Tommy Wiseau, and what on earth made you think to put them in this game? I don't know.
He's definitely a creepy, so...
That's very true.
There is that. So yeah, it definitely has a right audience, I think, and it can definitely be a fun game.
Definitely.
But I wouldn't say that it's right for strategy gamers. There's just too much, I think, randomness with the way the dice roll. That's, you roll a die for essentially every trait, each battle. And so if you're used to really strategizing and, crafting the right strategy, this game's probably not for you.
Right, but for people who may be moving over into this kind of game from RPGs or whatnot, I think that this might be a good game for you, because there is a lot of RPG factors in there as far as your hit points and some of the items even that you can use that will, if you ever get knocked down to 0, it'll bring you back up to 1 life point. Like, I know that's a Dungeons and Dragons thing. Yeah. And so that might be appealing.
Right.
To some players as well.
And with the light, silly setting, it takes the pressure off of that, of learning the game. So.
Oh, definitely. For sure.
So definitely some fun, but not right for, strategy type games. It's just a light game. And so again, not for everybody, but it is for some people.
Definitely. King of the Creepies, well, not anything new, has a place among gamers looking for light, silly, and take that style games. At the beginning of this review, we mentioned that the introduction of these weird creepies to fight in an arena was something different from the standard concept of gladiators.
And while these creepies are funny and new, the main mechanisms of the game aren't. There's not a whole lot of strategy involved, and many results in the game are resolved by the roll of a die.
However, that's not to say the game doesn't have an audience. We do think it's right for people who enjoy games like Munchkin. Games with take-that elements that have funny puns and opportunities to make alliances and tear them apart.
For those reasons, we give King of the Creepies a rating of 6 and a seal of approval. Right for some people, just not us.
Thank you so much for watching this review. You can see us battle each other in other games by following us on our social media channels at MarriedWithBG.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.